Okay, so welcome to Mathstoria, and let's have this problem. So in a right triangle, theta is an acute angle and cosine theta is 7/10. Find the remaining ratios. So using this mnemonic, the SOHCAHTOA, so this SO stands for sine is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse, and then ka, that's cosine is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and this TUA, that's tangent is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. So in the given, cosine theta is equal to 7/10. So therefore the adjacent is 7 and the hypotenuse is 10. So the opposite is the unknown. So to solve for the opposite, so using this formula that opposite squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared minus the adjacent squared. So opposite squared is equal to the hypotenuse, that's 10. So that's 10 squared minus the adjacent squared, that's 7 squared. So we have opposite squared is equal to 10 squared, that's 100 minus the 7 squared, that's 49. So opposite squared is equal to 100 minus 49. This one is 51. So to solve for the opposite, take the square root. So opposite is equal to square root of 51. Since we have now all the three values, the adjacent, the hypotenuse, and the opposite, so we can solve now the remaining trigonometric ratios. So to solve for sine theta is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So opposite is square root of 51 over the hypotenuse, that's 10. So sine theta is square root of 51 over 10. Then for tangent, so tangent theta is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. So opposite over the adjacent. So opposite is square root of 51 and the adjacent is 7. So tangent is square root of 51 over 7. Then for cotangent theta, so this cotangent is just the inverse of tangent. So cotangent is adjacent over the opposite. So the adjacent is 7 and the opposite is square root of 51. Then since the denominator contains a radical, so we need to rationalize. So by multiplying both sides, square root of 51. So we have now 7 times the square root of 51 over, so just omit the radical, so over 51. So this is for cotangent theta. Then for secant theta, so the secant is just the inverse of cosine. So this one is hypotenuse over the adjacent. So hypotenuse over the adjacent. So the hypotenuse is 10. Then the adjacent is 7. So secant theta is 10 over 7. Then the last one is cosecant theta. And this cosecant theta is just the inverse of sine theta. So therefore, this cosecant theta is hypotenuse over the opposite. So the hypotenuse is 10 and the opposite, that's square root of 51. Then we need to rationalize, so multiply both sides by square root of 51. So therefore, this cosecant theta is equal to 10 square root of 51 over 51. So these are the remaining trigonometric ratios: sine, tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant theta.